It's a phase. This is why these are language phases. You're gonna make these mistakes. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Beatrice. I post language learning videos every single week. And in today's video, I'm gonna be going through the different stages, phases, and emotions that come with the language learning journey. So, if you're new to learning a language or you've been learning one for a while, I am sure you'll be able to position yourself in at least one of these phases. Hopefully, it'll make you feel less alone on this journey and just know that whichever phase you're in, everybody has been there or will be there. So, without much more talking, let's just get into it. The first phase. This one kind of makes me laugh. The first phase I've called Mummy. Are we there yet? And the reason why I've given it this name is because this is usually the point of the language learning journey where you've just started and you are still Googling how long did it take to learn a language, and Google has told you it can take 2,000 hours 2 years. I don't remember what it said when I googled it, but I googled it as well. Everybody googles this question: how long does it take to learn insert language? French, Spanish, German, whatever. I actually will be having a video coming up to answer this complicated question of how long does it take to learn a language, because it's a valid question, but Google is just not where you're going to find the answer. In phase one, you're kind of already seeing the end goal. You're kind of already imagining yourself fluent. You think you're going to wake up tomorrow speaking the language. Kind of. You won't admit that's what you think, but kind of. During this phase one, you will also spend a lot of time planning your strategy and thinking of what resources you're going to use, which is valid, makes complete sense. But I think that what can kind of go wrong in this phase is just you can plan too much. There is such thing as over planning. Sometimes the best plan is just get started. Be smart enough to identify when your planning has turned into procrastination. The second phase, this is what I have called the naive beginner. So, the naive beginner, once they've Googled how long it takes to learn a language, they've accepted the task. Mission accepted. However, they don't start where they're supposed to start. You kind of jump into the deep end. You do a little bit of practice, you do a little bit of beginner stuff that you're supposed to do, but then, you're like, okay, I'm ready, and you go for it. And when I say go for it, I'm talking about Netflix film with or without subtitles. Watching a whole film in a foreign language when you just started a month ago, baby girl. People spend their whole lives speaking this language. You really thought, I did this too. I tried to watch Money Heist. I tried to watch Money Heist with subtitles in my first maybe 3 months. When I tell you that it was not in Spanish, it wasn't the Spanish that I was learning. Take my advice here if you are currently in phase two and relax. Those films are for later down the line. This does not just apply when it comes to learning languages, but this actually applies to everything in life. For example, I've started going to the gym and working out, and I want to see muscles. I want to see gains. Do you know what I mean? I could Google how long does it take to see muscle gains? How long does it take for my biceps to show this and that? How long does it take for me to have massive glutes? And at the end of the day, even if the internet tells me it will take 3 years, that time was going to pass anyway. Learning a language will take a long time, but that time was going to pass anyway, so you might as well. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, you're going to be 2 years later going, oh, I wish I started. Well, if you did start, you'd be fluent by now. In phase three, you are now brutally humbled. It's not a bad thing to be humbled like this. It's actually a good thing because it actually allows you to make progress. Because before, with that naive beginner mindset, we were not going to get very far because you were expecting a 2-week turnaround. But now you've been humbled and you're asking yourself, in every video you watch in Spanish, every clip, every series, every film, every single thing you look at, you're like, why are they speaking so fast? Why? I know the feeling. I know the feeling. This is where you do your second round of research. You've gone back to Google. You need to reassess. You need to replan this strategy of learning it in 2 weeks. We're like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. And then you conduct research again. But this time, you're educated. That leads me into the fourth stage, the realistic beginner. You've gone back to Google, you've looked at different resources, such as my YouTube channel, and you've reassessed what is a realistic timeline for yourself, what you can get done, and how you're going to get to fluency day by day. Yes, by now you've probably discovered conjugations in Spanish and that it's going to take a bit longer than you thought. However, you are excited by the challenge because it's possible. It's more than possible. If anything, it's kind of easy. Learning a language is not hard. The difficult part is consistency. Yeah. At the end of the day, learning a language is literally just repetition, it's just practice. And the content you're learning itself is not difficult. If you have gone to primary school, secondary school, if you have held down a job before, if you have siblings, if you have kids, if you have done anything in life, just anything, honestly, learning a language is not up there with the top 10 most difficult things to navigate. Where a lot of people find difficulty is in staying consistent and not giving up on themselves. So I really feel like, sorry to get so philosophical on you guys, but I feel like learning a language really challenges you to push yourself to what you can do. If you can show up for yourself on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, you start to rewrite who you are. The next stage, stage 5, you are now in full motion. You are in the thick of it. You are going at 100 miles per hour and you are deep because you've set realistic goals. You've researched how you're going to go about your studying and now you're on it. And you're learning conjugations, you're learning new verbs, you're learning new words, and you're using them. You're speaking, you're practicing with yourself. You are watching different videos on YouTube and you are learning not only how to study, but you're learning more language as well. So, this, honestly, hands down, I have fond, beautiful, beautiful memories of this stage. This stage is the best. Enjoy it. It only comes once per language. Enjoy this phase, okay? Because this is the phase where you just go from 0 to 100 and it is the most beautiful thing ever, honestly. Okay? You are 100 miles per hour learning new things every single day. Yesterday, you didn't know the past tense. Guess what? Now you do. You are making crazy progress in this stage. You've got vocabulary and flashcard lists. You are going through them at a rapid pace at this point. You have no idea. It might feel slow. Trust me, it might feel slow. But looking back, you have no idea how quickly you're learning. Like, no idea. I tell you right now, I miss that phase so much. Like, I look back and I still have nostalgia for these phases. And phase 5 is honestly like, oh, just. And now we're in phase 6. And phase 6 of the language is where you're cruising. Honestly, you understand all the grammar. There's not really a lot of stuff left that still confuse you. You know how to use all the tenses, you know how to understand them. You're fully conversational. You're enjoying your time with natives. You're talking, they're talking back. Conversation, great. In this stage, you've learned all the grammar, you've got more than enough vocabulary to use and enjoy. You're speaking to natives, they're speaking back, cool. Great conversations. And at this point, you might even notice that the inner voice in your head is also speaking the language which you've learned, as in it just comes to you that naturally, like you're not even, like you didn't even realize that, you know, you didn't even realize that your foreign language inner voice was on duty. But before you know it, you're walking to the gym and your like little chit chat in your head's like in Spanish. So that happens and it's quite shocking, honestly. It's been happening to me for a while, but it still shocks me every time. I'm still like, why are you speaking Spanish? Like, and like having internal monologues about the world around me in Spanish. And I don't realize until I try to speak to someone and I'm like, you can't speak Spanish. We're in England. I'm not trying to be that quirky girl that speaks Spanish randomly. I'm not trying to be her. But like my brain was playing tricks on me. You get me? So if you're currently in that phase, let me know. How does it affect your daily life? Maybe we should have like a support group, you know? The sad reality hits now. When you're in the cruising phase, as I said, you're enjoying the language. Things aren't really that difficult for you anymore. And if you're anything like me, then this can be a problem. Do you remember how much I was saying that I loved the phase where you're fully immersed, you're in the swing of it, you're learning at 100 miles per hour? Yeah, when you're cruising, that doesn't really happen anymore because all of the grammar, you kind of know it. Last week, you knew the past tense. Guess what? This week, you still know the past tense. Guess what? Next week, you're still gonna know the past tense. This can be a good or a bad thing depending on what your goals were initially when you started learning a language, how you are personality wise. For me, at least, it's a good and bad thing. It's a good thing because it means I don't have to really like put that much time into studying Spanish. I just kind of know it. It's just kind of in my head now. It's like driving a car, riding a bike. It's just there. But the downside of that can be is I don't have to push myself as much to learn more things. Whereas before I was learning new grammar structures every other day. In every language, including my native language, English, you will always be able to improve. You will always be able to learn new words. That never stops. However, as I said, in this phase, you are actually content because all of the vocabulary that you need to know and more, you have it. You can speak about anything in the world. And you might not have the right word for it, but you've got a substitute. Those kind of moments where you're like, what's the word? Like, how do you say? Like, those moments, they're getting rarer and rarer as time passes. And they're just not really a problem. The person you're speaking with will tell you, oh, yeah, this is the word that you're looking for. And you go, oh, thanks, and it's just not really a big deal. Like, it's not a big enough deal to really impair the conversation in any way. So this is kind of where we reach stage 8. This is the final level. This is the boss at the end of every video game. I call this the crossroads because now you have to make a decision. Do you carry on being comfortable in the language you're learning and improving gradually and learning a few words here and there? Because, yes, at this point, you are fluent. You really are fluent in the language. Congratulations, you've done it. Or do you pick up an entirely new language? Do you start from scratch? Do you keep making marginal but nice progress in the first language? Or do you just do it all over again? And that wraps up today's video and the 8 different stages, phases, and emotions that come with starting a language learning journey. I have been Beatrice, and I really hope you enjoyed. Bye.